normally what happens is when things are going well, economic reports are good, companies are reporting good profits, stock prices and security prices are rising. Mm. People feel good, they buy. And the higher they go, the more they buy. Then they reach a maximum for some reason. Maybe there's a negative event, or maybe the economy just turns down and the economy is deteriorating and company reports are not as good and stock prices are falling. And now people get depressed and they sell. And the lower the prices go, the more eagerly they sell. This is wrong. Mm-hmm. What we want to do is buy low and sell high. Human nature causes us to buy high and sell low. So that is what I call pro-cyclical behavior. At minimum, we want to avoid it. And at maximum, we want to do the opposite. Mm. Now, it's not easy, because what you have to do is you have to restrain your enthusiasm as things are positive, and you have to turn more positive as things are negative. Very hard to do. Some professionals can do it, not too many amateurs can do it. Mm. But at minimum, you want to not be emotional and not succumb to the cycle. So rather than buy high and sell low, maybe you say, I'm just going to hold throughout, you see. So that's obviously better than being pro-cyclical. Mm. Of course, the best thing in the world is to be counter-cyclical at the right times, but it's not easy. And people should not try with the money they need. But anyway, my career has basically consisted of these cycles. And this is why I wrote a book on mastering the cycle, which I'm proud to say is available in Korean. Not that I'm trying to sell books, but investing is a fascinating area, and it's a potentially profitable area, and I recommend it highly, but it should be done on the basis of a strong understanding, and not too many people invest before they have the understanding. And it's not like going to a casino. It's not a game of chance. It is a serious pursuit that should be followed on the basis of knowledge, in which case, you can count on having a good outcome if you do it wisely. The other thing I want to say about the periods of my life is I came into the investing business, as you indicate, 1969. And we all know that the young people will tell you that was a dumb world. Nobody knew much. Mm. Most people didn't understand how the market works, what makes for an attractive stock or bond. Most people did not have access to information. If you wanted to study a company, you had to send them a letter and ask for the annual report. And then they had to send it back in the mail. It took a long time. And it was easy to get a knowledge advantage just through a little effort. Warren Buffett talks about buying dollars for 50 cents. That's a good thing to do, but it relies on other people who don't understand that those are 50-cent dollars. Fast forward to today. Now everybody has a computer. Everybody's hooked up to the internet. There's lots of data feeds. Everybody understands how the market works. Now the world is a smarter place. Mm. And knowledge is cumulative. Everybody knows everything today. So my son pointed out in one of my memos called Something of Value, January of 21, that readily available quantitative information about the present will not be the source of superior profits because everybody has it. In order to have superior profits, you have to have some advantage. You have to know something that the other people don't know or do a better job of interpreting it. Mm-hmm. And So it is competitive and challenging. So what we say in the terminology of our profession is that the markets have become more efficient. The markets now have more information and do a better job of incorporating it. So I would say that it has gotten more challenging over my lifetime. When I started, I joined the industry in 1969. I started managing money in 1978. I started with high yield bonds. Most people didn't know about them. Most people didn't understand them. Most people were afraid of them. So it was possible for me to get a bargain. Today, all that has changed. Now everybody knows about them and nobody's afraid of them. So why should they be as cheap as they used to be? And the answer is they shouldn't. The market has become more efficient. So I noticed that you have copies of my first book here called The Most Important Thing. And there are 20 chapters, and each one says the most important thing is, and then it's a different thing. Because in investing, there's no one important thing. There are many, and balancing all the considerations is one of the things that makes it challenging. But chapter number 2 says the most important thing is understanding market efficiency. You have to understand the concept that I just explained, and the change in efficiency has been a big marker in my career.
Most investors focus on timing the market, trying to buy and sell at the perfect moment. Unfortunately, this often leads to buying high and selling low. As Howard Marks explained, that investing can be incredibly profitable for those willing to put in the hard work. Success comes from researching businesses, thinking independently and staying patient, not from constant trading. Marks believes that once you have done the work and found great investments, it's often better to hold them for the long term and let compounding do the heavy lifting. And the biggest wealth is usually created not by trading frequently, but by owning quality assets, giving them time to grow.